Hi and welcome to Tability. My name's Will. I'm going to walk you through the product so you can see how Tability works and how we can really help turbocharge your OKRs and make sure that your team is more aligned and working a little bit better together. We're going to start off with plans inside of Tability. A plan is really just where OKRs live inside of Tability. Plans can be for your whole organization. If you have a top level set of OKRs that everyone's going to be working towards, you can also subdivide them down into either individual plans for teams, say your customer success team, your sales team, your product team, or even different hierarchy of these plans as well. If you want to have a more of a cascade structure with your company plans being supported by those individual department plans here as well. We've set Tability up for a cascade structure, so we have our top level company OKRs, and then underneath there we have our product and our sales team's OKRs here as well, so that we can explore this as we go through, as if this was set for an entire organization. We're going to start with this top level company OKR here and take a look at what we're going to be able to see inside of these plans. As we get everything built up, this is where we're going to be able to see how all of these different pieces are going to fit in together. Now on our plan dashboard, we get all the information about how our team is progressing towards our goals, towards our OKRs. Our objectives are here at the top marked with this flag icon, and then all of our key results are listed out underneath with these little squares. Our squares are going to turn different colors throughout the quarter depending on how confident that our team is feeling about being able to deliver these goals. We'll see not only how confident they are, but also where we're at metric-wise on the right-hand side here, what that change is from week to week, and then as well as who is responsible for owning this key result. Who is the person that is going to give us the updates? If we were going to need to tap somebody on the shoulder, who would be that person that we would tap on the shoulder? Now, the way we get all of this data into the system is through a process that we call check-ins. Check-ins is a weekly status report on each of the key results that's going to be written by that key result owner. We're going to take that check-in and we're going to put it all into one sort of singular location for that key result. So if we want to go get more information about how not only are we performing on this, but historically how have we performed, and looking forward, how are we likely to perform, we'll be able to get that information inside of the key result dashboard. So I'll go ahead and click on one of our key results here, and I'll get a little bit more information here. First, sort of like the prime position that we have here is a graph that's going to show us how that metric has changed over time, along with a trend line that would show us if this was a linear goal, a goal where 50% of the way through the quarter, we should be 50% of the way to our goal. Where should we be at? This is going to give our team a little bit of a way of understanding, am I on pace? Am I off pace? How are we tracking towards it? Each of our check-ins is going to then be logged with where we were at that week inside of, or as far as the metric goes. So we'll see how that's plotted over time and see how that metric changes. And the color of those dots is also going to correspond to how confident the team is feeling about being able to deliver this key result by the end of the quarter. Are we on track towards success? Everyone's feeling green. Do we have some issues we need to work through that's more of a yellow? Or are we off track and we need to rally? That would be more of the red. The check-ins are going to come with three different pieces: that metric, that confidence, then also some additional places to add comments. Why are they feeling confident or not confident? And we'll show you the most recent check-in here on the screen as well, so you can understand why someone marked something as green if they might not be where you think they should be, or why they marked something as red, and get all of that context without having to go into a lot of different places. Underneath, we then have a list of tasks, and tasks can really be used however you want them to. We're not going to try to replace your project management system, but if you want to bring in sort of the top level projects that your team's working on, if you're thinking about this in terms of Jira, maybe like an Epic, this would be where we could put that in, where we'll be able to track the status, the due date, and who is responsible for this task or this initiative, so we can see what is the work that's being done towards these key results. As key results get marked off, you can just check these to mark them off. We'll actually plot those along the graph as well, so you can see as work gets completed, is it leading to growth with your key results? So we can see we had a project be accomplished here, and then all of a sudden we started spiking up with our metric as we sort of go forward. So as I'm going through this OKR process, everyone's going to have these key results listed for them. They'll come in here and they'll do these check-ins to give us this information. Now, the process of getting this information in is pretty quick and simple. We have a couple different options for you as well. If you go with a very manual input, you want to just bring the data in yourself, the process for doing this check-in would be to update our metric progress here. So let's say we are at $1.2 million. we'll automatically see that get plotted on the graph. So I'll add in my metric. I'll choose that confidence level. Are we on track towards success? Do we have some risks that we need to mitigate, or are we off track and we need to rally around to try to get this back into a place where we have the opportunity for success? I'll then add in some of my analysis. What is the work that we did to get into this goal? What are the things that we might need to change moving forward or continue doing moving forward? And are there any asks or blockers that I have that I need the team to be aware of? I would add in all of this analysis into the check-in itself. So as I'm going through here, I just sort of quickly write in any notes that are going to be useful for someone else to be able to get a concept of how this goal is going. Now, all of those tasks that we saw earlier, I can mark them as complete here, and we'll plot those on the graph as we publish these. I can also add in new tasks. So as I'm working on this, if I come up with a great new initiative that we should do, I can quickly add this in here as well. So we're going to start doing, cold contacts on LinkedIn as a new task that we're going to work on. So I can quickly add that in. I have all of this information in here very quickly. I'll add in my check-in. We can see that task get plotted on here. And I have a really nice sense of now how this is going. What information do I have? Now I can also go through and comment on other people's check-ins here as well. So if there's ever a point where I need some more information, but I don't want to schedule another meeting, I don't want to have an email that's going to get lost and someone else might ask the same question, I'm going to ask all of these questions here as well. Can you tell me more about how we can get this back on track? I can add all of that directly into the product here, so I can very quickly add this information in. Now, if I'm on this dashboard page here and I want to see more information like those tasks, I can quickly expand this. And not only am I going to see the tasks that are assigned to these goals, but I'll also be able to see any related goals. We know that your OKRs are going to be linked to other teams or linked up or down, so we want to make sure that you know what those relationships are. In this case, because I'm at the top level goal, I know that there are sub-goals that are supporting my key results. So we have our revenue goal here. The sales team has a couple different key results that are actually going to support our overall revenue key results. So I want to be able to plot those out. And so from here, I'm going to be able to see those relationships. If I want to see this in a little bit more of a visual way, we have our visual cascading map that you can see here. And I can, again, just sort of expand these down and check out any of my dependencies. I've got a live demo, so of course it's not working for me right now. There we go. But I'll be able to see all the different work that goes into all those individual key results. So I can see anything downstream that might affect my top level goal. So if I'm looking down, I can see a product team's working on this one. It's in the red, possibly is affecting this. I can quickly jump to those goals and be able to ask those questions. So if I need to go and ask any questions, I can do that inside of this platform. Now we also are going to try to give you as much data as we can. So we'll get a little overview here at the top around how far into the quarter are we, how much progress have we made towards all of our key results, how many tasks have been completed, and then how confident is the team feeling. Overall, we'd ideally like to be at 100% confidence, green across the board. It's not likely to happen in most goals, so we'll see sort of where we're at for the goals across this individual plan. Now, if I want to go even more data around how our goals are going, and not just where are we right now, but how have we progressed, if I scroll down below, I'll be able to get some charts and graphs about this plan. So anything from like the confidence, how it's changed, how many goals have been marked green versus red versus yellow, how that confidence score, how has that changed over time, and also the overall progress. So this isn't just telling me around this one key result, but across all the key results for this plan, how much progress have we made, both in our key results themselves and then also the tasks that we have said that we're going in there. So if we notice that we're starting to dip in our progress for our key results, and we see that not a lot of our tasks are getting accomplished, we know that this might be a time to reprioritize what we're working on so that we can get some more information, or so we get some more achievement towards our goals in this spot right here. Underneath there, we have the option for seeing some overdue tasks and tasks that are recently completed so we can stay on top of that work. Now, if you do have that cascade structure, if we want to have our top level goals and then goals underneath, we would set those up as what we call sub-plans. Really, this is just a way of showing that hierarchy between the plans. And so we'll see those listed off down here. I can expand them and see all of those plans. Now, plans are by default set to being public, so I'll always have that visibility into what other teams are working on, which is great for doing things cross-functionally, or if you're an executive and you need to go and see how those teams are performing individually, and quickly jump to those other teams' plans and get a sense of how that's going there as well. If I want to create additional plans, I would just create those from this menu here as well, so I can continue my hierarchy. You can have as many layers as you want. So if we wanted to add, let's say under the sales team, a customer success plan, we'd be able to then add that here as well as a sub plan here. So customer success, OKRs, 2024, Q2. Now, setting these up is a pretty important part of the process. We want to make sure that we have goals in the system that are going to be able to be tracked. And so for this, it's a pretty quick setup. So this is a good jumping off place to get into the setup of our individual plans. So when I'm creating a plan, I'll give it a name. I can either choose to do it as a sub-plan, or I can create it just as a regular plan from the plans page. Once I give it a name, I'll choose how frequently I want my team to check in on this plan. By default, these check-ins are done every week, but you can also choose every 2 weeks, every month, or every 3 months. I would generally recommend only using monthly or every 3-month check-ins for annual plans, and anything that's for 1 quarter, doing every week, just so that we can make sure we're not going to miss out on anything that could skew our trajectory. Now, for setting the timeline, we have a couple options sort of to make it easy right off the bat. You can choose to set this plan for this quarter or for next quarter. This is going to go off of calendar quarters. So this quarter being January, or whatever quarter you're in based on the calendar. So right now we're in quarter 2 because it's April. So January, February, March, Q1, April, May, June is going to be Q2. We can also set this up for next quarter. So if I'm ready to start this up for Q3, I'm going to put it in July, I could just hit next quarter. Now, if your organization doesn't do calendar quarters, so your fiscal year starts February 1, and so your Q1 is February, March, and April, you can set up custom timelines here as well. So you can make this fit whatever your schedule is. So let's say our Q2 is going to start on May 1st, and then it's going to go through July 31st. I can set that up to be when this plan is for. But I'm going to keep it for this quarter around this one. We can then choose who can make changes to this plan. This is going to be on who gets to change the goals themselves and who gets to sort of add and subtract goals. So if I wanted to come in here and make any changes to my OKRs, who do I want to be able to do that? Again, by default, we're making this a little bit more democratic, so we keep it as everyone. If you do want to keep it restricted to just yourself, you can change it so that only you can edit this plan. Other people will still be able to view it, but only you will be able to make changes to the goals that you have listed out. We can also keep it private. So if you are setting up something and you're just not ready to share it with somebody, or you want it to be limited, you only want a small team, an executive team, to be able to see this information, you can also keep it private and then add in additional collaborators at a later time. So you can always add in folks even if you make the plan private. We're going to keep this as everyone being able to edit it, and then we're going to go ahead and create our goals here. Now, creating goals, we've created 2 different options for you. If you have already written your OKRs, you're experts in writing goals, and you don't really need any help, you can just create them automatically here on your own. And this is just going to be a nice editing experience. We'll touch on this in a second. If you are not quite sure what goals should be yet, it's the beginning of your goal planning cycle and you just want a little bit of assistance, or you know a general idea, but you just don't know how quite to write them, you can generate goals using AI, or you can pick from one of the templates that we have pre-created. Generating goals through AI is a pretty easy way. We're generally just going to take what our objective would be. And I'm going to steal one of these here. So we're just going to take this and we're going to generate a preview here. And this is going to allow us to decide whether this is going to create a set of goals that we want to use or that we don't want to use. Whichever way we go about it, we can either regenerate more, give it a second chance. If we want to use these, I can also tweak them as we go. So I'm going to use this as my selection here. I'm going to close out some of these nice helpers at the top. But this is going to write me an OKR 2 best practices. Now, the one place we are going to want to make some changes to is going to be on these metrics. When we use AI to generate our goal, we'll only see these set as 0 to 100%. So if I did want to make any changes or let my team track these metrics a little bit more specifically, let's say we want to increase our website traffic by 50%, We want that to be a lot more clear, not just 0 to 100. I can change that by clicking on the metric and then changing my targets. So I know that my target for our weekly visitors is going to be 10,000 visitors. 10,000 visitors. And so if I'm doing 50% increase in that, boy, howdy, I'm not great at math. So we'll say we were at, what would that be? 60,000 or 6,000 visitors. I'm not 100% sure if that makes sense, but we'll figure that out later. So we'll go ahead and save that, and then we can see that this is going to change. So that I can actually track a very specific goal instead of having to have my team do that math on like, wait, is this actually hitting where I'm supposed to have it hit? Now, if I want to add a data label, so I want it to not just say 10,000, I want it to say 10,000 visitors, I would just add that into my target, and then we'll see that automatically get applied here as well. Now, after I go through here and set all of my goals, I'll also want to make sure that I'm changing the owners to the person who is going to actually be responsible for writing those updates, writing those check-ins for these goals. So I'll click on someone's icon or my icon. It'll all be set to whoever creates the goal by default. And then I'll just go change this to the other Will Villacrez's so that we can have some different folks who are responsible for this. Notice as we're making these changes on the right-hand side here, we have a plan score, and that plan score has been changing as well. And what this is really doing is it's trying to see if this plan was made through best practices. And so those best practices are going to be listed here. Is it focused? Is it descriptive? Are these measurable goals? Is there a good quality of ownership, and are they actionable? And all of these, we don't want to leave you to the guesswork, right? We'll have some tips along the bottom that if we touch on these, it'll highlight in purple anywhere we might want to make some changes. So we want to use real targets, like I said, instead of these default targets, so we can come in here and change some of these, and that'll adjust our score here as well. It'll also encourage us to include things like tasks. And for adding tasks, I can hover over any of my key results and hit add tasks, and then create whatever tasks I want. And just like with creating OKRs, I can also use AI to generate some tasks for me. We'll pull in that key result. I'll generate some quick tasks. And then we'll be able to use these suggestions, all input here, and we'll see that again change. And my plan score is now nearly at 100%. If I want to make sure that these are changed here as well, I'll also want to go through and change some of those owners just to make sure that they're tied to the right person. And then I can also set different due dates for my individual tasks. Chances are they're not all going to be due at the end of the quarter. So I can make some quick changes here so I can show when are these tasks due so that we can hit that goal by the end of the quarter. Now, if you are not doing this through AI, if you already have your goals and you just want to do this manually, it is still a pretty quick process. We'll hit add new objective, and we'll type in our objective for this. We're going to have an amazing onboarding experience. And then to create your key results underneath this objective, you're going to hit enter. And then we can switch from objective to key result by hitting tab. So I've hit tab. Now I'm going to go into my key results. So I can add in all of my different key results here very quickly. Now, the difference between using the AI to generate or using the manual generation is that when you add goals manually, we'll automatically set those targets for you. We're going to be able to read through that goal and then convert it into that metric, set that metric for you, so you don't have to go in and click in and make any changes there. I will be able to have that for you here as well. So now I've got a couple of goals. My plan score is looking pretty good. I know it's not super measurable because I need to make some changes to some of my key results here, but overall, this is looking really great. And again, I can still find whatever I need to make changes to if I need to. I'll go ahead and publish this goal, and it is ready to go. This would be where I'm going to be able to watch all of that come through and come to fruition. Now, for someone assigned to some of these key results, I've got myself still assigned as these key results owner. On my focus page is where I'm going to see all of the things that I need to think about or I need to worry about. My goal is set, or my plan is set to weekly check-ins. And so I will be notified that my key results need to have check-ins done each week when I've set, in my initial onboarding. I can say that, these should be done on Tuesdays or these should be done on Wednesdays, however you want to have that go. So I'll be able to just see all this. I'll get notified via email or via Slack if we set up the Slack connection. And I can come in here and quickly create my check-ins, add in my information, and go forward. For teams that want to move a little bit quicker, I can also do this as a bulk update, which is just going to show all of my goals in one spot. So I can very quickly run through and add in all of my detail for all of my key results that I'm tracking for myself. Now this is all well and good. Once I get my data in there though, there's going to be a couple different times where I'm going to want to look at that data in a different way. So we have a few different options for how we're going to be able to consume the data so that I can make a little bit more sense of how are we actually trending towards our OKRs. So the first option is through using presentation mode. So if I switch to presentation mode, it's going to open up a automatically generated keynote presentation so that I know how these key results are going. There we go. Sorry about that. So for this, we're going to be able to see how these key results are going. I'll be able to see all of that information here in one spot. So as a team, I'm going to be able to go through, click into any of the goals. This is a great way of having that conversation while seeing it in a little bit of a different way. I'm also able to share this out. So if I need to share this to someone who isn't in my Tability instance, other executives, board members, teams that aren't going to be using this product, I can create a public access for this presentation, and then I can actually view it, and it's very similar to how it would be seen for my team, which is a little bit of a limited amount of information for folks who aren't in the system, but you can still share this out to anyone who you want. You can also embed this in Notion or in Confluence or anywhere else that you can embed an iframe. So you'll be able to give this to anyone and have it ready for anyone wherever they're going to be so that they can always see it. Now, if I want to see sort of more information across the entire workspace, so I've got a lot of different plans and I want to see how all of that is working, I can also see that inside of my workplace insights. First, we'll give you some quick things to check out for your workspace audit. And this is just a way of making sure that you have everything set up, that there are users that have things assigned to them, that we're not missing out on anybody. We just have a lot of information here. And you can always jump to anything so you can figure out which users you might need to go check in on or which plans you need to work on. You'll also see all the activity for your users. So how many check-ins were made? Is my team updating my goals? How many key results are being viewed outside of just making sure that they are doing their check-ins? Are other people reading those check-ins? How many tasks are getting updated? And when are tasks getting updated? We're going to get a lot of this information here so I can keep my team honest and keep everyone aligned and accountable for that work towards their goals. Underneath there, we'll call out some specific things to know. Let's say any plans that have too many key results, any goals that aren't exactly measurable, they don't have a metric associated with them, tasks that might be overdue. We'll be able to find a lot of that information here. I can also slice and dice that through the filters, where I can set up my own segments of key results or of objectives that I'm looking for. In our filters, I can add things like confidence. Show me all of the ones where we say we're on track, but I also want to see the progress. I want to see, actually let's use progress below 50%. So I want to see all of the key results that are high confidence but low completion, and I can then see those across all of the different plans in the organization. Now, if I want to save that, I can save this as a segment. So if I wanted to do high confidence, low completion, I'll be able to set this up here as well. So I can always quickly come back to this and I'll see it on my list on the left-hand side here. Now, if I want to set up a dashboard that has a few different of these filters that I can see all at once, I don't want to have to jump back and forth between a couple different segments, I can do that in our new custom dashboards. I will create a new dashboard. Let's go ahead and call this, Q2 sales dashboard, because I have a couple sales teams now in here. We'll create our dashboard and we can add in different widgets. So first, I want to get my plan summary and I'll choose my plan. Let's pick our sales team Q2 plan here. I get all of that information here really quickly. I can add in some additional widgets here. Let's add another plan summary and grab that customer success plan here. Now I've got two. And if I want to add any different kinds of widgets, let's say I want to add a key result summary from just the company OKRs. And I want to see just our revenue number because that's what's most important for me. I can add in just that key result. And if I want to even show a list, show me all of those high confidence, low completion goals that we've added in here, I can add in this dashboard as well. Now I can also adjust this so I can make it look how I want it to look. So if I do need to make any changes, I want to make that a little bit wider. I want to make this all sort of look the same. I don't want that at the top. I want this underneath here. I can drag and drop. I can make this truly a custom dashboard so that I can see all of the information that I want here without having to go back and forth between a bunch of different places. Now, the last thing to include here is just some of the additional features that we have that can make using Tability a little bit easier for you and your team. And the number one thing that I like to encourage people to use is to make sure to connect to data sources. This is going to make it a lot easier and quicker for your team to be able to connect to other tools. So I'll be able to connect to tools like Asana or other tools like GitHub, ClickUp, Help Scout, Google Sheets even. If I want to pull from Jira, I'll be able to do that here as well. I can then choose how I want to track this. So I'm going to track the number of issues closed in Asana. We're going to pretend that this makes sense for this goal. And then I'll pick my project. I will use this, our Q2 customer engagement, and we'll save and preview it. We'll see all of the number of issues closed. And when we save this, now when I go to do my check-in, this is going to automatically convert to the number from that system. So I don't have to worry about keeping things up to date in different places. And if for some reason my other tool is out of date, hasn't been updated yet, I'm waiting on some new changes, or I just want to override it for any reason, I can always come in here and change it, even if it's not going to be exactly what we had put in there before. So I can go through and I can make this just a lot quicker. The other thing that this is going to allow us to do is in our data source, we can choose if we want to auto sync it. On our premium plan, this is going to allow you to pull in that data automatically every 48 hours instead of just relying on when your team is going to do the check-in. So you'll see a lot more of that information over time, which is especially helpful with things like revenue numbers or weekly active users that you're tracking throughout your OKRs. So it just gives you a little bit of an extra way to get into some of that information. Now, when you're in Tability, we also want to make sure that you have all the tools that you need to be able to get the most out of the tool. So I'm going to move my face over here. We have some guides and resources for you, particularly our docs, where we got a ton of information. You'll also see throughout the product a few different places where we offer in-product tours, where we offer video demos. So if there's anything that you need, please feel free to check some of that out. And if you still have questions in the bottom right-hand corner, you can ask us any question that you would like, and we're always happy to get back to you. If there's anything else that we can do, please let me know. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day.